So the last time someone lit a fire here, they lit my cabin on fire with anger in their heart. This will be the last fire I light here. And I'll do it with sage. Marian Erickson Sahatni, Susan Erickson Leislu, Lawrence Paul Yaxolatan Leisaba. Amasi Dasto, Nakis Leeds Ehasya. Hello, my name is Marian Erickson. My mother is a teacher and my father is an artist. I just so happen to have become an artist that teaches. Last summer, my boys and I built a cabin on Dakas territory, a healing space on the land, grounded in Dakas knowledge, ceremony, and community. We negotiated for 3 years to get this all dealt with. I followed proper protocols. I respect our Dakas ways and was informed that my use and occupancy in this space would be respected. I dreamed of building a cabin for years. I used all my family's savings. It was never just about wood and walls. It was about restoring a space where my displaced family could come home to themselves, to each other, and to the land. A place where we could connect with our teachings, to run birth sovereignty workshops, cultural camps, and feel safe in our own skin on our own land. It was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. From the moment we broke down, it became clear this was more than a construction project. Our family came together, relatives, friends, helpers, from both Dakas and Sakani territory. My 2 sons, 5 and 14 years old, were there learning what it means to build something sacred with your bare hands. They watched and learned as aunties prepared meals, cousins carried supplies, and the men in our community stepped forward to offer their strength and skill. I had hired a group of men, carpenters, laborers, some of whom had been through hard times themselves. Some were reconnecting to the land for the first time in years. Some were struggling with trauma, grief, or addiction. But out there on the land, something shifted. We worked from sunrise to sunset, through heat and rain, mostly heat, and something powerful happened. We began to heal together. There were moments of silence. You could feel the land. You could hear the ancestors. You could see them when the sky danced for us. There were moments of laughter so deep it echoed through the trees. We sang, we shared stories, we argued, we made up. We cried, we prayed. There was a moment in the truck on the way back to town one day. We were bouncing down the dirt road, dirty, smelly from a long day's work. We laughed and teased each other. I was teaching bad words in Dakas. At one moment, the laughter stopped. One of the men said, "You guys, I really needed this." Everyone smiled at each other. We all knew what he meant. We all felt the same. The men I hired talked about how proud of the work they did was. They felt useful, capable, part of something meaningful. One of them told me, "This is good medicine." We were doing more than constructing a cabin. We were building a vision of Indigenous healing, strength, and unity. We were reclaiming the land that had been clear-cut as a space for peace. My boys saw what it looks like when men show up with love, respect, and intention. They saw what community care really means. And then this spring, we learned that sacred space was taken from us. The cabin was deliberately burned in an act of violence. It shook us to our core. It shook the community. People are messaging me in secret because they're afraid of the individual who did this. The trauma and the loss is still rippling through our lives. Myself and my children are afraid. I've felt so much rage, grief, hopelessness, and helplessness. It wasn't just a fire. It was an attack on our safety, on our Dakas ways of life and our future. It was meant to harm, to intimidate, to erase. But we are still here, and we're going to rebuild. In a final ceremony for my cabin, the ancestors told me you do not have to choose sides. Choose compassion instead. The vision I had for the cabin is too important because healing doesn't end when violence strikes. It becomes even more necessary. Because our children need to know that no one can take away our right to be well on our own land. I've started to GoFundMe to raise money. We need to start again, this time in a new location. Your donation will help us rebuild the cabin, replace what was lost, support the men and women who come together once again to raise something sacred for Dakas. Many of those same men who worked on the original build have already told me they want to come back and help. They are ready. They know this is more than just a structure. It's a movement. There's some people who are offering their help and support already. It's a reclaiming. Your support will help us buy the materials to rebuild the healing cabin on the land, to help pay for food, laborers, carpenters, and helpers who will come together again, create a safe space for Indigenous women and children to rest, reconnect, and recover. Your support will restore what was violently taken with even more strength and intention. This is about standing with Indigenous women who have experienced violence, about saying no to violence and yes to healing. It's being a good ally to Dakas women and children who have experienced violence. It's about affirming that our sacred spaces matter, that we matter. This isn't just my story. It's all of ours. Please, if you're able to help, donate to rebuild. If you can't give, sharing this story helps too. Every act of support helps us heal from violence. We're not just rebuilding a cabin, we're rebuilding hope.